I am Dolores M. Miller, poet and author, inspirational speaker, and child advocate. And as an author and inspirational speaker, I strive to reach out to all people to inspire and provide health, healing, and spirituality. My healing words can touch deep inside to the fibers of the soul. If you keep believing, even in the most difficult times, you will rise above. And as I speak of God's healing, love, hope, and courage, and the beauty in nature, I reach out to suffering souls so they may find the power to heal and become all they were meant to be. I believe the strength of the warrior spirit is inside of all of us. It is stronger than any adversity. Today I'm introducing two wonderful people from the Child Advocate Center in Philadelphia. They do a lot of wonderful work for children in Philadelphia and get them out of abusive homes. I'd like to introduce Maura and Sandra. They are staff members of the Support Center, an agency that works with abused and neglected children, helping them to recover from trauma of abuse and make sure they are all safe in a permanent environment. Maura, could you talk about the Support Center for Child Advocates?
Sure.
What you actually do?
Great. Thanks for having us, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to be here. My name is Maura, and I work for the Support Center for Child Advocates in Philadelphia, like you said. We believe we're the nation's oldest and largest advocacy organization for children. We represent abused and neglected children, not only legally, but also we advocate for social services to ensure that our children are in a safe home, free from their abusers, and ultimately in a nurturing and permanent home environment.
Mm-hmm. Sandra, what do you do?
I have been with the Support Center for a very long time, since 1999, when I was like 16, and I write proposals for the Support Center to support our work on behalf of abused and neglected children. Our model of serving children is to have match volunteer attorneys with staff social workers, and we also have lawyers on staff, but who represent children. But primarily, it's the volunteer lawyers who serve our children in concert with a social worker to whom they are assigned, and together they represent the child in court, make sure the child is safe, make sure the child has the services that they need to recover from trauma, make sure that if the child needs to be removed from the home, we do that. Very often we work toward reunification of the family. And we actually address the needs, and we have a number of projects that focus on these things, but we address the needs of the whole child, and that is, it's not just their safety, but we look at all the aspects that go into the well-being of a child, their education, their behavioral health issues, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Any supports that they, if they have medical issues, we look at that. We make sure that they have health care benefits. We make sure that they are going to the doctor. So we sort of advocate for all these other aspects of the child's life, and we call that whole child representation. So we look at all aspects of the child's life. It's very important, actually, because if one area of a child's life goes down, for example, school, it really impacts a lot of things. Okay, so it might make it might jeopardize the child's placement if the child is in a good home and begins to act out in school, or begins to act out in other ways, or begins to act out the trauma, and they're not getting good behavioral health. That whoever they are with, either a family member or in a foster care situation, may not be able to manage that child anymore, and so they might jeopardize a good placement. So one aspect can affect the whole, and so we do whole child representation.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
And Maura, what is child abuse?
So child abuse is a legal term. and it's actually defined by the perpetrator. So if a child is hurt, either physical, sexual abuse, and the perpetrator is a family member or a closely known person, it's considered child abuse. And that kind of case will most likely begin or be taken care of in the family court system. So when child abuse is severe, where a beating is extreme, where the abuse is sexual, that's when it can rise to the level of a crime, regardless of who is the perpetrator. But when it is lesser physical abuse, or neglect, this is the type of case that will be handled in the family court system, and the goals are much different. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to get that child safe as quickly as possible, either removing the abuser from the home or removing the child from the home if it's not possible to make that home safe immediately. And in the family court system, the judges are trained, the attorneys are trained to look at the goals of the family as a whole. Oftentimes, if abuse is perpetrated by a boyfriend or an uncle or somebody who's not the immediate parent or caregiver, we can immediately get that abuser out and have the child remain at home with the safe parent. And that case will move forward to make sure that there are safeguards in place. So the family may be required to seek therapy for the child, and the court will ensure that that happens. And our office, the attorney for the children, will be the voice of that child in those proceedings. And oftentimes it is about where the child lives. So if a child needs to be removed from the home, it's an emergency situation, perhaps they've come to the hospital with a broken arm and the doctors believe that there was abuse that caused the injury and not an accident, the child might be immediately removed. We come in to make sure that that removal is the right way to go, that they are placed hopefully with a family member if we can find one. If that's not possible, we do go into stranger foster care. And often, as Sandra mentioned, often the goal is to reunify the family. We work with families that, over 90% of the families that we work with live below the poverty line. So oftentimes it's a lack of resources. Perhaps it's a neglect case and a child's been brought to the attention of the Youth and Family Services, DHS, Department of Human Services here in Philadelphia. And a report's been made because the child's coming to school sporadically, very truant. When they do show up, they're dirty or hungry. And so a teacher gets concerned, and when the investigation begins, they find that the house doesn't have enough heat or enough beds, and really that the children are neglected because of poverty. So the system comes together, all systems come together to provide appropriate services, make sure that the family has appropriate housing, that the caregiver is working towards being employed, or that special accommodations are made so that the child can go home. They'll have a bed, they'll have heat, they'll have the food, and that family will get another chance to move forward together, which is really important. On the flip side of that, we are not hesitant to remove a child from a dangerous situation and work very, very hard to ensure that the kid never goes back. So when we're talking about sexual abuse and serious assault on a child, we will encourage the court to remove the child, to put them into a safe foster home, hopefully a pre-adoptive home, and then we will legally work to terminate the rights of the parent who has been the abuser.
That's wonderful.
And then we'll seek the right permanent home for that child.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next question is, how many children or youth do you serve? And how many volunteers and staff does it take?
Okay, I'll take
Big
that one.
army.
Okay,
Go for it.
it's big. Okay, we now serve 1,000 children per year, with 1,028 served in our last fiscal year, which concluded in June. So, and we have, and we need more of them. We have approximately 300 volunteer attorneys that serve our children each year that come from area law firms and, private practice and such, and from corporations, who take our training and, do courtroom observation and then take on a case. So not 300 each. Some of them are from prior years, and then, so they take a case, and then when the case concludes, they take another case, for which we're grateful. Well, we need more. We definitely need more volunteer attorneys. So if there are attorneys out there who want to do this kind of work, which is very meaningful and very important, please check us out, because we definitely need more volunteer attorneys. And when volunteer attorneys we cannot get a volunteer attorney for a case, we have staff lawyers who then do courtroom coverage. But it's ideal for us to have volunteer attorneys with the children.
And the majority of our staff are master's level social workers.
Right.
So our model, as Sandra referred to, is to recruit, train, and support volunteer lawyers from the community.
Right.
We pair them on every case. We pair them with a staff social worker, and that team together, kind of Velcro them together, and that's how we get the whole child representation. We get the legal representation from our pro bono volunteer lawyers, and we get the social work advocacy through our social workers. So we really believe that this is a wonderful model, and it's a wonderful support that the attorneys get from our staff. Makes their service a little bit easier, a little bit less scary to take on a case, and we stick with the attorney through every case. They have one child or sibling group at a time,
Right.
And then, as Sandra mentioned, if they close that case with a permanent home for that child, we hope that they would take on another and continue with us. And we've had volunteers who've been working with us for decades.
I know that. I see that when I go in April. To the fundraiser,
yes. Yeah, our fundraiser. Yeah, of course. You see people who have been with us for many years. They find it very satisfying, and I think they get a lot of support from our staff, so that they don't feel. And then, of course, once you're involved in that kind of law, then you understand it better. So we have lawyers who do all kinds of law in their regular life, who in their work life, who then come to us in their volunteer life and are able to do that kind of work as well because of the support training that they receive. Yeah.
The next question is, thank you again, but the next question is, how can people help you help the children?
Well, as we spoke at length about lawyer volunteers, but we also need a lot of other volunteers. And Dee, you know this very well. A lot of support that we get from our friends is through our events. We have, in April, as you mentioned, we have an annual benefit reception and auction. It's a huge party. Huge auction, and all the money goes directly to the service of our children. Mm-hmm. Last year, with the support of friends and sponsors, we raised over $500,000 to serve children in that year. So we really are, every year, we're filling the buckets for that year and moving on. We have a golf outing and a 5K run. The golf's in the fall. The 5K run is in the spring. And we, of course, have our toy drive, which is right in the middle.
I love the toy drive.
And Dolores loves the toy drive. She's probably our biggest supporter there.
She's our fan.
And it really is a wonderful, it's a wonderful event. It lasts for most of the month of December. We collect toys and gifts and clothes and
gift cards
for almost 2,000 children. Because we give a gift not only to every child we represent that year, but also to every child that lives in their home. So we don't want anybody to be left out. And then we take these thousands and thousands of toys and gift cards and clothing and distribute them to our individual children. So we can provide a donor with a gift label with an actual child's name, age, and gender, so that you can shop specifically for that child. We have a drop-off location. We arrange for toy pickups. Some people throw big parties and get their friends like you do, and a lot of offices get together as a group to participate in the toy drive. And then it culminates on December 19th this year. It's always the Saturday before Christmas Day. It culminates in what we call Delivery Day. So we have gathered all the toys, we've sorted them, we've bagged them, and we bring them to our offices at the corner of 19th and Cherry Street. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, the cars start lining up. We need about 80 or 90 volunteer drivers, and they will take as many bags for families that they can handle that day. One family to 20 families we've seen happen. And they go out into the region and they deliver those toys to the kids' homes.
That is so wonderful.
And it is just inspiring and joyful and really, really fun.
It's a lot
So
of fun.
there are lots of ways to get involved with the toy drive. You can find that at our website, which is www.advokid.org, advokid.org. A lot of information about how to get engaged in the toy drive there or any of our other events. Or if you just want to learn more about us.
Thank you again, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But the last question here is, what should someone do if they suspect a child is being abused?
Yes. Obviously, if you suspect a child of being abused, you can report it. You can call the police department. You can call the Department of Health and Human Services. Or you can call Childline at 1-800-932-0313. Very important to report it, very important to keep a child safe. And the authorities will come out and will investigate it. So definitely, if you think that someone is in trouble, a child is in trouble, definitely call one of those agencies, including Childline, at 1-800-932-0313.
Thank you so much, both of you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Doris, thank you.
But in ending the show today, I would like to offer more healing words and inspiration. I believe in your compassion. Please visit www.beautifulwarrior.com to purchase my books. And please be sure to like Dolores M. Miller on Facebook for daily inspirational messages. Also, I am nominated for an award from Eagle Rare Life, and it's eaglerarelife.com. If the award, if I receive it, all the money will go to child advocates. So, and it's my story, and if my story wins, and the story's about courage, I'm a survivor, and that's where you go, to eaglerarelife.com, Dolores M. Miller, under courage. Until next time, hope, love, and joy to all of you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Love
you.
and peace to all.
Thank you, everyone.